So this morning I'm going down the street, and this guy is on this stump, and he's like yelling at the top of his lungs, "The end is coming. The end is near." You know, all this doom and gloom, all this stuff, and he's like, "The world is coming to an end." And I finally got tired of hearing him. I went up to him. I said, "Okay, look, buddy, when exactly is this end supposed to come?" And he said 301. It's like 301. That's pretty precise. 301 today. And he said, yes, at 301 today, everything ends. So you need to get yourself together. I said, so 301. 301 Central Standard Time, Eastern Standard, when is it? He said 3 o'clock. He said 301 Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So I let him know that I have like my YouTube show that I do. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. At 301, be watching my show, and we're going to see who's still here and who's not, you know, whether the world is still here. And of course it would be. Yeah. But anyway, if you're watching right now, Mr. The End is Near, it is now 3:02. And everybody's still here. I'm still here. The world's still here. So obviously you're... Oh, your watch must be fast. Peace, family. This is Ayapo, and this is Ayapo Yapa. Ayapo Yapa, as you know, is an acronym. This stands for If You Aren't Pissed Off, Baby, You Aren't Paying Attention. And today I'm going to talk about... Wait a minute. I might be... But without the baby part. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is that, as you all probably know by now, the survivors, the 3 survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre were denied reparations. The case, I guess, was dismissed with prejudice, meaning that they can't bring the case up again by a judge named Wall. I don't really know her first name, don't care to. And this is how you know, I guess my point is, this is how you know people are full of, this is how you know when somebody's full of crap. Whenever and I apologize for the noise in the background, you all know the deal, I'm not in a big fancy studio. But whenever the reparations argument comes up, inevitably someone's going to say, well, some white person and some black people are going to say, well, none of your people were slaves. None of my people were slave owners, blah, 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 blah. You know, all day long, that's their mantra. Yeah, well, if you were actually a slave, you would blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't care if you were actually a slave. That's their mantra. That's their, that's their mess. Because they know that few, if any, could prove that they were actually enslaved in that way under chattel slavery. However, you have 3 people sitting in front of you who were directly affected. Excuse me for that. I don't know why I'm saying excuse me, I'm not the one driving, but they were directly affected. They were there. It directly happened to them, and it was dismissed. That's how you know they're insincere and full of crap. Is because that their whole argument for our people receiving anything is based upon this. It didn't happen to you. Well, it happened to these three people. They're in their hundreds, and to tell them that that they don't deserve any kind of compensation, that they're not entitled to any compensation, or however you want to put it, flies in the face of that whole argument of, well, it didn't happen to you. It happened to them. I know I'm repeating myself. It happened to them. They were alive when that happened. They were in it. They were directly affected by it because it happened to them directly. So, when you're dealing with people, and my wife taught me about it. When you're dealing with people who are insincere, there's really nothing you can do with them, because they're gonna always shift the goalpost. They're always gonna start talking about something else. They're always gonna keep those N words on the run. I won't say the word. Keep them N words on the run, and that's how we stay chasing our tail and on the run, because we're always marching or protesting or demanding or whatever to try to get some kind of justice from a people and a system who are not just. And you just saw it. You just saw it happen. You know, they strike down teaching CRT. However you feel about it is how you feel about it. But at the heart of it, it just comes down to trying to correct or bring into focus history the way it actually is. And you have, what was it that just happened? It'll come to me when I'm not thinking about it. But then you have, the denial of the reparations. And there was something else that just happened. And I was like, affirmative action being struck down. When people are telling you who they are, believe them. Why don't we want to believe them? Why don't we? It's beyond me. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we do not want to believe what they are telling us. There's a point at which a person is messing with you. I've used this analogy before, but it's like if I'm fooling around on my wife and I'm sneaking into dark places, and when I get home, I lie, and I'm hiding stuff in my phone and I'm covering it up, and then as time goes by, I just continue to see her, see the other woman, and then I start lying a little less, and I start not caring a little less, and then at some point, my wife's sitting in the living room watching television, and I just bring the woman in and walk past her, how you doing, walk straight into the bedroom and start doing whatever with the door open. Don't care anymore to even try to pretend like I'm hiding it. And that's where we are right now. I don't know how a lot of people can't see that plainly, is that that's where we are right now. They don't even care to try to pretend that they don't give a crap. They're just like telling us to our face we don't give a crap. And actually, and I know this for a fact, actually that makes them respect us less. That makes them respect us way less, because they're like, crap. I'm like showing them in no oh man, that's what old age will do to you, and drugs. But I'm showing them like straight out. And now I'm gonna be searching for this word in my head. Like 5 minutes from now, I'm gonna like just blurt it out. But in no uncertain terms, I'm leaving this in. That's a senior moment. Or I'm in Central America, so maybe it's a senior moment. But they're showing us in no uncertain terms that they they don't give a crap, and we won't accept it. They're telling us who we are, and we won't believe them. I believe them. Oh, I believe them. So, anyway, separation is hard. Everyone knows that I'm a separatist. It may not seem like it. I don't hate white people. I don't hate anybody. But I do believe that our people, for our safety, security, and sanity, need to be separate. And we need to love ourselves. We don't need to hate anyone else. You don't have to hate somebody to love yourself. I don't have to hate other women to love my wife. I was just talking about her, and here she comes. But I don't have to hate other women to love my wife. So that said, when it comes to separating, I think about trapeze, because a lot of people. Hey, it's all right. You're fine.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. You can join me if you like. Did you get in the ocean?
A little, no, just my feet. I didn't put my whole body in.
How'd it go? I'm sorry, Angela just walked in the door. She was at dance. No, it's not live. I'm not gonna cut it out though.
Oh, well then I won't talk.
No, you can talk all you like.
I don't want to say anything for the public. I was just gonna talk to you.
Oh, okay. We'll talk to you about it in a minute. But when it comes to separating, look, it's a scary thing. My wife and I, we still working on getting separated from the system, and we're not sitting on an old stack of money. Get the heck out of here. We live very modestly, but I think that a lot of people are stuck, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job they hate or whatever. A lot of people would rather deal with the devil they know than to step into the unknown. You're with this man or this woman, you know that the relationship is bad. Excuse me. You know the relationship is bad, but you understand it. You understand them, as jacked up as they are. You understand them. But if you let go of that, then what are you going to get next? You could get something worse, but you could get something better. The only thing that you know for sure is that what you're in right now is jacked up. That's the one thing you know unequivocally. And so it's like, I don't know, everybody I think has seen, or most people have seen, a trapeze artist or a trapeze act where they're swinging from trapeze to trapeze. And while they're holding onto that rung and they're swinging, typically someone is going to swing, the other trapeze out so that they can catch that rung and swing to the other side. Inevitably, at some point during that swing, they sometimes do flips, sometimes they'll do a turn in midair or whatever before catching it, or sometimes they'll just catch it. But the point is that for that moment, for that split second, they're up in the air. And if they miss that that next rung, down they go, and they may have a net or not. The rung that they just came from is gone. Bye bye. That rung is gone. That ship has sailed. And now you have to catch this next one. You can't. A lot of what is happening is that you have people who are trying to hang on to one rung and then swing over to the other one, hang on and grab hold of the other one while they're still holding the original rung. But what will happen is you'll lose your momentum, and then you'll end up just hanging there. You won't be able to swing to the other side, because that's part of what gets the trapeze artists to the other side is the momentum that's carrying them in the first place, swings them back. But if they hang on to this and then try to grab that, it's going to stop their momentum, and they're going to hang there between both of them. And eventually, if you're hanging there long enough, you're going to tire out and you're going to fall. it's that moment of terror, I think, that we're afraid of, where you let go and you're just out there up in the air and you don't know what's going to happen until you grab hold of that other rung and you swing over to the other side. Like I said, the other side could be more jacked up than where you came from, or it could be infinitely better. You'll only know when you get there. But it's the fear we have to get past, because the one thing we do know is that we're dealing with people who don't care about us. And now they're making absolutely no secret out of it. None whatsoever. So I'm not gonna be before you long. That's why I wanted to say, let's see, I visit the Radical Sisters page. She her channel, and also she has 3 books that are available. She has This Black Nation, which are novels. She has a nonfiction book called Furnace of Affliction that are radiation cures. And with all that's going on in the world right now, with everything that's happening, this is another thing, and it's as they say, it's a biggie. So you may want to consider those, and to buy her. And she also makes soap, and I have used her soap before. It is she makes soap. Where you can purchase her soap, her books, is at 25,000yearcycle.org, and there's like a whole lot of other stuff, like healing medicines, knowledge about healing your body, actually cleansing your body, and so on, which is done by her husband, Dr. Z. So go check that out, 25,000yearcycle.org. You also want to visit Landscure. I haven't ever really talked about him, except in the last video, but I had never really talked about him. And his, as I said on my last video, his and Anjali's channel, the Radical Sister, are 2 channels I go to before I even hear them say word one, I automatically give it a like, because whatever they're saying is going to be making sense, even if I don't agree with all of it. It doesn't matter, because I know that it's coming from a good place, and they have a concern for our people. Now, when it comes to books and stories, my wife Angela has a series that's available on Amazon. It's called Affirming Self-Love, and she's up to episode 7, and she calls her books episodes, and she's up to episode 7. Episode 8 she's working on right now, and they're books of affirmation, meditations, inspiration, and they're very good. And she illustrates them all, and I'm kind of staggered a little bit by her work, because she just started learning to use Photoshop to do her work, and they look phenomenal. At first she was having me help her with stuff. Now she just does it herself, and I'm telling you, I'm a graphic artist, and so I know good graphic art when I see it, and she's good. So her books are there. They're $3.33 each, and you can get them, individually, or you can get them all together. She also writes stories about Black love, and she has one that's called 365 Dates. Now this is on a platform called Kendall Bella. Now Bella is episodic. It's like watching a television show. When you read it, you can read them in small bites. You can read it all together, however you want. But she has one called 365 Dates. She also has one called The Love by Tamu Agency. Did I say it right? I said The Love by Tamu Agency.
Yes.
Finally, because she has that X, and then would you hit that alarm for me? I won't forget. or I'll remember, as she has taught me to say. She says, don't say won't forget. She says remember, and then that way. Anyway, and her other story is called I Declare Love, and they're all on Kendall Bella, and they're very good. People who read them like them, and for me, I've written my books, Melanin and What of the Cargo. They're available, hard copy or hardback, soft cover, Kindle editions, and there's not a lot of reviews. All the reviews are good though. 5-star reviews. When you get a chance for and What of the Cargo, be sure to check out the What of the Cargo commercial if you haven't already. I'll have that in the lab. And let's see what else. Oh, visit my website. My website has pretty much everything on it. It has my books. It has my books, my podcast for the Reading and Writing in the Dark podcast. That's my Readers and Writers podcast. It has a link for even the Draped Maniac podcast. Has let's see, it has links to my artwork. It has links to my music. My music is okay, but it's my favorite hobby. So, and of course, like I said, my writing. I also have a series of short stories on Amazon. That's I call it the Keepin in the Buck series, and they're stories that are basically like Twilight Zone type stories, and there are 10 of them on there, and those are a buck a piece. That's why I call it the Keepin in the Buck series. Also, and I apologize for the noise. Also, I have a story on Kendall Bella. This called Surviving the Worst. If you get a chance, read Surviving the Worst. I think this story is so good, and I like the characterizations. I wrote it, but I'm just telling you, it's a good story, and I think you should read it. Give it a chance. Read on Kendall Bella. You can read the first 3 episodes for free. So that lets you know if you want to keep reading it. Then you buy tokens, which is very inexpensive, and you can use tokens for the stories. That's how the Bella platform works. So anyway, I have that going on, and there's just so much. My website is very dense, meaning there's a lot of different places in it, nooks, crannies. It just has a lot going on. My blog is on there. And there are 2 Easter eggs. I'm going to keep saying this. There are 2 Easter eggs on my website. And when you find them, you will be surprised at what you find. You'll just have to poke around in there to find them, because I'm not saying what they are, and they're not marked. A few people have found them, and they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting, pretty nice. So I guess there's that. I guess that's everything. I got a lot in store for this year, and I'm just going to keep putting out more content because I really, along with my wife, along with Ajali, along with Landscure, along with My Aunt Speaks, there are just so many out here who are trying to get control of our narrative so that we can present our people to our people as we are and dispel a lot of these myths and help us to come back to loving each other again and loving ourselves, because that's actually where it starts. So, having said all that, thank you so much for watching and for listening. It's always a pleasure. Always. This is Ayapo. This is Ayapo Yappa. If you aren't pissed off, you aren't paying attention, without the baby part. And I will talk to you all later. Peace.